Hello, and welcome to Chad and Wess Ruin a Movie. If you'd like to contact us, you can get us at chadandwess@gmail.com. If you like what you hear, you can also follow us on SoundCloud or subscribe on iTunes and leave us a review. If you'd like more information, go to chadandwess.com.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Chad and Wess Ruin a Movie. This is Wes.
This is Chad. Are we ruining a movie, or what are we doing today?
Yeah, we're ruining a movie.
Oh yeah, Killing Joke, right?
We're going to ruin Batman the Killing Joke that we just saw a little bit ago.
That's right. We're actually doing something like right after we watched it. It's amazing.
We're being timely on this one.
Then we're also going to discuss some of the things that came out during Comic-Con.
Yeah,
I know
lots of Comic-Con
You're
stuff.
unaware of most of this stuff. I'll fill you in.
Okay, yeah. Please let me know.
Yeah, I will.
I'd be interested.
Yeah.
Let's talk about tonight. So if you have not been aware, Batman the Killing Joke, the newest DC animated feature film, is being released digitally tomorrow on iTunes, and then
tomorrow from when we're recording this. By the time we post this,
Yes.
It'll be today.
Yeah, it'll be already be up,
Or the past when anybody listens to it.
and then it'll be out on DVD, Blu-ray in a week or two. But they did a special, what was originally meant to be a one-night only exclusive deal to watch it. It's actually going to be shown again tomorrow night because the response was just massive. Biggest Fathom event screening ever. It was over 1,000 theaters, which is they've never had before, and they kept adding show times. There were actually 2 showings happening simultaneously at the theater we went to, and then with a third one immediately following it.
Have you been to a Fathom event before?
No.
Okay. I haven't either, but I've been aware of them, and I've always kind of wanted to do one. And if this is how Fathom events go, like, I want definitely to do more of them.
Yeah.
They had like something before the movie showed. They showed the movie, and then they had something after, like 2 special features about the movie.
Yeah.
Before and after. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I've always heard really good things about the Fathom event deals, that you get more than just the movie. So I like that.
It's an event.
It's almost like it's an event.
I can't fathom.
Oh,
Womp womp.
But we went and got to see it. Sweated it up with all the nerds in the room and smelled the BO.
I was going to say, so let me just start by just a general complaint about movie theaters these days. What's up with the temperature? Like, seriously, man. So many movies that we've seen lately, I get there and it's already warm. By the end of the movie, I'm like freaking sweating in the chair. It is so hot in theaters.
We've been in 2 separate theaters in the last 24 hours, and I agree. Yet last night was terrible. Like, I got up and had like drenched, like my back was completely drenched by the time we got out. This one was a little warm, but I wasn't as warm as I was the previous night. But
it's ridiculous.
Chad was very upset. PSA: if you are out there and you are of the nerd persuasion and you're coming to these movies, please take a shower and brush your teeth before you come to this stuff.
Maybe throw on some deodorant.
Yeah.
I mean, some people like feel like, oh man, I don't want to wear deodorant. I'm a hippie.
I don't like
You know
to
what?
bathe.
When you're in public and you have to be right next to someone, I get that you don't care what you smell like, but think about the people around you. Don't smell like freaking nasty.
There were definitely a couple times where, if you imagine the individual was on this side of me, where if I needed to like take a breath or something, I would actually turn towards you to do it instead of.
I thought you just thought I smelled good, and you're just trying to sniff me up.
Because I'm like holding my breath the rest of the time. I'm like,
yeah.
But yeah, it was bad.
We make a plea to our fellow nerds, please do us a kindness and don't smell bad.
Hygiene is important.
This goes for like Comic-Cons and all that kind of stuff too.
This is the after-school special part of our show.
Anyway, so we'll obviously, spoiler alert. We're gonna spoil things about this. If you haven't read the comic, and even some of the things that are unique to this, know that we're gonna reveal things. So you, being a big DC fan, being a big Batman fan, and loving this comic book, graphic novel, whatever you want to call it, before, what did you, like, just overarching feel? Did you feel like they did a good job, medium, or a bad job staying true to the material?
I thought they did a great job staying true to the material for that part of the film. One of the things that we'll talk about, and I definitely have some thoughts about, is that the graphic novel itself, and this is one of my thoughts whenever they originally said they were going to be adapting it, is not very long.
Right.
It's a little bit longer. It's maybe like 2 typical issues of a comic book together, and that's really about it. It's not a very long comic. So whenever they first said they were gonna adapt it, most of their animated features come in at an hour and a half, maybe an hour 45. And I was like, well, how are they going to fill up all this time? They must be creating some original content to go along with it. So it seems like what they did is, instead of taking the whole story and fleshing it out and adding to their own narrative and things like that, they actually did like almost like a prologue to the movie. So the part that was directly adapted from The Killing Joke, I thought was done very well. And honestly, from my knowledge, and I read it probably a couple of times a year, so it's fairly fresh in my mind, but I felt like it was almost like panel for panel in most cases the way that the graphic novel goes. There was only a couple of things that I saw that I want to go back and take a look at, because I can't remember if they were in there or not, but most of it, like I said, was pretty direct from it.
Well, it's interesting that you talk about the part that they added, at the beginning. Mm-hmm. It's funny, they even acknowledge it in the narrative. The very first thing out of the narrating voice is, I bet you didn't expect it to start this way, because this isn't the way that whole first part of the movie is not the way that the comic started / has nothing to do with any of the comics, its original content. And I only know that because I asked you afterwards. I was like, so was this ever like a thing where they said, oh, this is something that happened right before The Killing Joker. This is something that at least happened in the Batman universe. Sounds like this is just completely brand new.
Yeah. Yeah, something to fit inside that universe.
So how did you feel about that part?
I thought it was good. I was interested in the story, both in terms of how Barbara Gordon feels about Batman and this struggle she has about, she secretly likes him and, even tells her friend that it's like, oh, I'm kind of in a relationship, but not really.
How much younger than him is she?
So let's jump straight to this, because this is where this is gonna come in. So, spoiler alert: Batman and Batgirl have sex in this movie.
Yes.
You don't get to see it.
Damn it.
Which,
come on, I want to see that animated penis.
I mean, for a rated R movie, there were only a couple of things that I felt like lent itself to the R rating.
Well, I mean, just the fact that there was
there's a couple of things that I could point to, but
there's one thing for sure it got them an R rating. If it was the only thing that they did, it was the whole scene where Barbara Gordon got shot and the things that preceded that.
Right. But yeah, so Batman and Batgirl have sex. Because things cannot not be ruined for me because I can't stay off the internet. That was ruined for me going into it. I knew that was going to happen. And it's gotten a decent amount of backlash from fans who were very excited about this movie. I mean, this has been the biggest anticipated animated movie that they've done. And so there's a lot of backlash from some fans about, one, how old is this girl?
Yeah.
Her name is Batgirl. Is she a girl?
Well, she seems like she's at least in college. She's a librarian, so maybe she's out of college, right, or at least out of high school and working at a library.
She's at least old enough to...
age of consent, we hope.
Well, she's definitely age of consent, because she's definitely old enough to live by herself in an apartment.
Yeah, she could have gotten emancipated.
Whatever.
She's 16. Go ahead.
So... she has a job. She lives in an apartment. Worst case scenario, she's 18. Batman's been Batman for a little while, so maybe he's pushing 30.
But here's the thing, because like when I started thinking about the timeline of all this stuff, Red Hood happened at some point in the past.
Right.
The Joker became the Joker.
Right.
There's been at least a few cycles of the Joker going to jail and getting out, because Gordon talks about every time he gets out. Yeah. So this has happened several times, and he's been in jail this last time for at least 3 years. Yeah. So if you look at all of that, that's a pretty long time.
Right.
That they're saying Batman has been Batman, because the first thing that happens is Red Hood becomes the Joker.
Right.
And then since then, Batman has still been Batman. And right. Batman was Batman before that, too. He was at least known, oh, hey, it's the human bat guy, So it's maybe the beginning of his career, but he's right. At least gotten a reputation at this point.
In my mind, I would say, 10 years maybe 12 years, somewhere like that. That feels like a good number. But
when does he normally in the continuum start? What age does he actually start being Batman?
Mid to late 20s.
So he's probably pushing 40.
It could be, yeah.
Good on you, Bruce.
Get you some.
Not dirty. Anyway.
But yeah, most often Barbara Gordon is portrayed as a college-aged girl in most comic things. Some people believe that when she became Batgirl, she was like Dick Grayson's age when he became Robin, which would have put her like mid-teens and things like that. And maybe she was, because they didn't.
This is the end of her career as Batgirl.
They didn't really talk about how long she was Batgirl, but she's obviously been Batgirl for a while. So, but there have been other adaptations where there has at least been pinings for Batman before. In the Batman animated series, she has a dream where she imagines herself up on like a rooftop or something with Batman, and she wakes up right before they kiss. So this idea has been around for a long time, and I think other narratives. Well, I even think the Batman 66 TV show probably touched on it a little bit. So it's not necessarily a new idea. So it's not coming out of left field that it's like, oh, she is interested in him or wants to be with him.
Well, and freaking Poontang is Batman's kryptonite. He's like totally loses all like reason when it comes to like Catwoman and Ra's al Ghul's daughter, whatever her name is.
Well, and naturally, like the big dilemma that Bruce has is that, well, I can't be with somebody because this is my burden and I have to carry this. So if he is going to be with anybody at all, it would be someone who would understand all that. And so naturally, the women that he is involved with, Catwoman, Talia, Batgirl, like these are all people who would understand what he's doing and would not necessarily be affected by his lifestyle because they are a part of his lifestyle.
Right.
So it would make sense.
What about Vicky Vale?
Vicky Vale. Well, that was that Batman movie, so we're not talking about that one. She's not around anymore. So back to your original question of, how did I think they did with that part? I didn't have a problem with any of that. I thought they did a decent enough job of this idea that she has these feelings for Batman, but she's also conflicted and frustrated because she feels like he's, I envision the older brother to the little sister who's like got his hand out and her forehead's like against his hand. She's like swinging, trying to hit him. She can't hit him, just like frustrated because he won't let her do stuff. The only real problem I think I had with it is when the sex scene happens, it happens pretty quick. Like there's not a whole lot of lead up to that.
Bats is a 2-pump jump.
Oh,
not that kind of quick. Never mind.
Fastest man alive.
That's the Flash. Batman's like, I'm the fastest man alive. It's like, no, that's the Flash. No, I'm talking about a different kind of fast.
So the execution of that, I think, could have been handled a little bit better. But overall, I thought that they did a really good job of developing the Batgirl character and adding this layer into it. The only other problem I really had with it is Batman touches on this idea of, going to the abyss, which is really what the Killing Joke is all about. And at some point, I'm going to kill the Joker's going to kill me. We've got to figure this thing out. I feel like they could, in order to tie these two pieces of the movie together, they could have leaned into that a little bit more during the opening part, because it definitely plays like this is part one and this is part two. It even fades to black in between them, so there's a definite cut.
Yeah.
And the first half feels like a Batgirl story, and the second half feels like a Batman story.
That was actually going to be my one point. Is I feel like they could have done a better job just fleshing out the actual content of the Killing Joke, and as it was, it just felt like two totally separate stories. It's almost like, and a lot of these people are the people that have worked on the TV shows where they tell episodes,
Yep.
and it felt like two separate episodes.
Yep.
Same characters, still in the time continuum. They do tie together, but here's one story, here's another story. And I feel like I would have liked it better if they'd said, oh, we're gonna flesh out this story. All the same characters are there, but we're just gonna actually give you more content within this one story. But when I just look at the story itself, it was intriguing. I was gonna say intriguing and interesting. Interesting. It's a new word. I'm tagging it.
Intriguing.
Hashtag interesting. But yeah, I didn't have like a huge problem with what they actually, like the story itself or any of that. I did feel like it was a little bit too like predictable. Like I knew exactly what he was talking about, and when they said when we met, I was like, you didn't meet at the warehouse, you met on the truck. Like as soon as she said that, and she was like, oh, the warehouse, and then he started going, and you're not allowed to come. And I was like, well, duh, she's either lied to you and is going to go right to the truck, or she's going to realize partway there it's in the truck, not at the warehouse.
Yeah.
But like both of them, especially Batman, being Mr. World's Greatest Detective, would have remembered, no, the first time you ran into this guy was on the truck. I just that was like, of that first story, my biggest problem was that like little thing. Like I was like, really, both of you are like didn't put this together right off the bat, but whatever.
Well,
off the bat.
And depending now, she should have known that's not what he meant. But for Batman, depending on how she debriefed him about their experience, he may not have known that she met him at the truck, because there were a few guys at the warehouse, and like 2 guys in the front part of the truck. But
she recognized him in the video and had told Batman to go to the warehouse because the guys were there, and so she like I don't think there's any way that he didn't know that she had seen him there at the very least, so that she could ID him and place him at the warehouse where she called Batman 2 to come meet her. Regardless, we won't get bogged down in this because we got a lot to talk about. I overall liked it. From what I remember, I've only read the story once when I borrowed it from you.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed the graphic novel. I really enjoyed the movie. I'm trying to think if there was anything in particular that I was like, why'd they do that? But it was pretty true to the source material.
Oh, absolutely. There was one thing that I absolutely loved and did not like all at the same time, and that's the voice casting. So, Batman, Joker, and Batgirl, I really liked all the voicing, which they made a big deal about that and said, hey, we're only going to do this if we can get Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, and Tara Strong, who has voiced Batgirl before. It was nice to get her because I think she does a good job. However, I did not like the voice casting for Commissioner Gordon, Harvey Bullock. There was somebody else I didn't care for either. Just their voices to me just didn't fit. Like, Harvey Bullock almost sounded like this really tough and like hardened cop, which Harvey Bullock, when I think about him, I really like the portrayal of him on Gotham, but then also the animated series was really good where he is.
Oh, what if they'd gotten the guy that plays him on Gotham to voice for this?
Oh, that would have been great.
Awesome.
I would have liked that because he's not like, he's brave when he absolutely has to be, but there are other times when he's a little scared and a little cowardly. Sometimes a little, not quite bumbling, but he's not always a macho tough guy, which is what his voice sounded like in this.
He seems a little Columbo-like in Gotham. I don't know if you ever watched Columbo much, but he has that feel to me for some reason.
Yeah. So I did not care about some of the other choices they made. But honestly, that's one of my big problems with a lot of these DC animated movies is I get these voices stuck in my head. So, like, if I'm reading a comic...
Wes, we need to go see a psychiatrist for you.
Okay.
I have voices in my head.
When I'm reading a comic and I have Joker and Batman on the page together, this is how I read them, I hear Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy's voices. Like
I hear Mark Hamill, but as Luke Skywalker. He's
power converters, Batman.
That before feature where he was talking about Luke Skywalker being whiny, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
But so that was really my biggest problems. Like I said, very true to the comic. Really no deviation. Nice addition at the beginning that fleshed out Batgirl a little bit, so that way she doesn't just feel like an added character. Because as a standalone, if they had just adapted the Killing Joke, that's really about the only thing the Batgirl shows up in, is that, boom, it's her apartment, she gets shot, and then you see her in the hospital, and that's it. Where if you have the comics history, well, that's all great and good because you know who that is. But in a standalone movie, you've got to build some character development into there.
Yeah.
And so that was a smart way of doing it without touching the source material and, potentially bastardizing that.
Right.
So... it was a good way, but I just wish they would have connected some of the themes a little bit more. There were loose connections there, but they could have done even more with it, I think.
If they could have just made it seem more like one fluid story.
Right.
Now, here's an example of something that I was fine with in one circumstance in the movie, and then actually had a problem with at a different point in the movie. So, every time the Joker had a flashback to his previous life, they changed the animation style slightly. Like the look of it was different, and that made sense to me.
The colors were more muted. It was a lot more grays and browns,
and it felt like the same style. So I shouldn't have said style. It felt like the same style. They did a different color palette, and they just made it seem a little more washed out or whatever, hazy, because it was clear that this is a flashback. So that I was fine with. There was at least one other point I can directly point to during. It was not flashback, but I felt like they changed the animation style, like the artistic style, and there was no explanation as to why, and it felt really out of place.
You're talking about the musical number?
No.
Okay, because I felt like the animation style changed a little bit during the musical number, which seemed weird to me.
Okay, and that might be another good example of it, but it was actually when the Joker first turned on the lights at the amusement park, and he kind of looked.
Oh, yeah.
It looked like it went from this kind of most of the movie felt very much like the old animated series, because I used to watch that when I was younger. When I was a late teen and you were in diapers. But no, so I used to watch that, and most of the movie felt like that. That one scene where he's looking in the lights reflecting off of his eyes and everything like that, it felt like a traditional Japanese anime, like that. It very, very different style. Yeah. And I don't know enough about this stuff to like exactly point to, like a perfect example of that, but it felt like a very different style. And I had seen a clip of that, and I had knew that scene or that little quick shot was from this movie. So I had initially thought the entire thing was going to be in that style, which I'm fine with. I like anime, and I don't mind that it was in the style that it was, but for them to make that shift just like for that one real quick shot seemed really out of place to me.
Yeah. And I mentioned this to you when we were at the movie. My biggest issues with that were really just some of the design choices. Like if you were to look at Batman straight on, his, the cowl kind of comes up against the side of his head, and then the ears kind of curve back out and then come up to a tip. It looks very old, like almost like that's how he looked in the original comics.
Right.
And it just looked a little weird. And I didn't care for the shape
logo
of the bat.
I noticed both of those things. I didn't have a huge problem with them, but it definitely, to me, felt like an older version of Batman.
Yeah. Whereas I liked Batgirl's costume. I didn't have any problems with that. But I was sitting there watching it, and I felt like the animation style I liked more in something like Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which was very obviously related to the animated series. Mm-hmm. But that would have been my choice. But
yeah, and I feel like the animation style was that way for most of it for me. It's just like you said, the choices they made for the characterization or the look of Batman. I noticed that too. He seemed different, and it's funny. I'm excited for the new Telltale game.
Yeah, which comes out very soon.
The new Batman Telltale game, and apparently you're Bruce Wayne a lot in it, and it's a lot more about being a detective and figuring things out, less about I'm going to punch and kick and do all this other stuff. There's some action in it, I believe. But because it's a Telltale game where it's not focused on that, it's more focused on decisions, and your decisions affect the outcome and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm really interested in that, and because I have that in my mind, I've recently seen the trailer for that game and thought about that. Watching this, I was like, man, and it probably wouldn't have been true to the comic in this sense, but I wish we would have gotten more Bruce Wayne. I wish we would have gotten some more, of him doing his thing and figuring things out. It did seem to kind of jump, and this is once again where we could have just extended the actual story.
Yeah.
But gone from instead of going from scene to scene to scene, we could have gotten a little bit more of a drawn out, like, oh, what did he do? How did he figure all this out?
Right, because we only really got the one scene with Bruce Wayne in it, which again I'm sure is probably the way it is in the comics. But yeah. But cool. Rating for this one.
You go first.
Okay.
Don't ever make me go first.
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna go 8 out of 10 on this one. Overall, great. I thought it was good job all the way around. Those couple of things that I talked about brought it down a little bit. But I'll definitely watch it a bunch more. Mm-hmm. So I'm 8 out of 10 on this one.
I'm gonna go 7.
Okay.
7 out of 10. It's still up there. There's definitely a few things that I've liked better this year and I'm looking forward to this year. But yeah, 7 out of 10.
Cool.
7.5.
7.5.
Yeah, we're going to our 20-point system.
All right, on. Well, quickly, let's shift gears over to Comic-Con.
How quickly are we going to be able to do this? We're already like 25 minutes in.
No, we can do it. We'll be fine. So one thing we're going to do differently this time, there were so many trailers that we literally can't watch all the trailers during the show.
Yeah, it'd be way too long. So
we're
going to talk about them.
Yeah, we just finished watching them right before we started recording just to refresh ourselves. Let's start with TV Land here. When I was writing down these topics, we're going to talk primarily about the Marvel TV stuff just because I know the DC TV stuff you are not caught up on, so I don't want to necessarily ruin anything for you. But so first up, we've got a trailer that came out for Luke Cage. Got to see a little bit of action from it. It's really more of like a sequence. There was only like 2 scenes in the whole trailer, but that's coming up at the end of September, so we're getting really close to being able to see the Luke Cage show.
I think it's interesting that part of the trailer is a scene of him going down a hall, which has been a big part of the Daredevil 2 seasons so far.
Yeah.
They've each had this big hallway fight scene where he's getting the crap beat out of him, but he's still getting through somehow, and this, that, and the other. And they're just showing Luke Cage just getting shot to hell, just walking through it. Like, I don't even know if my one comment was, why did he even need that door? He's freaking bulletproof. Why did he grab a door before he went in there?
Yeah.
But whatever.
I don't know.
So, but he's going through and just like shrugging off bullets and all this other stuff. So that was cool to see. And in my mind was, I feel like them trying to contrast what kind of a superhero he is compared to the kind of hero Daredevil is.
Right. And Daredevil's a superhero. Never mind. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But he
is super blind.
He's a superhero blind. It's interesting because they talk about like how these street level heroes really have their own little sections of New York that they're protecting. Where Daredevil has Hell's Kitchen, Jessica Jones. I don't know what the name of the neighborhood is that she did, but she dealt.
It's a bar because she needs somewhere to drink.
Yeah, that's true. Luke Cage is in Harlem. I think that Iron Fist is in maybe Greenwich Village or something like that. But they're all responsible for these different like little neighborhoods,
right?
Which is not Manhattan, because the Avengers are down there cleaning up their mess,
right?
So it's cool that they kind of mentioned that they're playing with the idea of like they're taking care of the seedy underbelly of New York,
right?
But cool. Speaking of Iron Fist, we got the first teaser
we totally got
trailer,
fisted.
Which actually I felt like we got more of a trailer from Iron Fist than we did from Luke Cage. Just because it seemed like there was more story to his.
We already know him from Jessica Jones, Luke Cage.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like they needed to show as much to establish who he is. Iron Fist, on the other hand, brand new. Nobody's seen him yet. So they had to establish a little bit more of like, okay, this is who this person is, if you're not familiar with the source material.
I'm interested to see do they show him have glowing fists in the show, or is he just going to be like being able to punch stuff?
Right. Well, he knocked that door off, so he's obviously super strong or whatever.
Yeah.
Like we talked about. Like,
he has the iron fists.
Right. Well, you've got, the Daredevil, who's super blind. We've got Jessica Jones, who is
stronger
than your average bear. You've got Luke Cage, who is super strong and impermeable. I don't know what his deal is. He's invincible-ish. And then you've got him, who's got mystical powers, magical powers.
Right.
Which is interesting because other than soon to be Doctor Strange, we haven't seen that stuff. We definitely haven't seen it in the Netflix end of the Marvel universe.
Even though he's been with Luke Cage a lot, and these guys have been the Defenders before, he's definitely the one that sticks out a little bit more because he has these mystical powers. But I'm sure they may have some way of tying that in with Daredevil, because you've got the Hand, which has some magical abilities and things like that. And then now Iron Fist has this Eastern European training and things like that. So I wonder if they'll tie that in together somehow.
Right. So it looked interesting. I don't know a ton about him. I don't know a ton about any of these characters because the Defenders and these guys I don't know a ton about. So, but as like it is my favorite. Maybe my favorite. It's definitely my favorite part of the TV stuff.
Yeah.
But the Netflix stuff is freaking on point.
Oh yeah, it's all been so good. Speaking of which, and Defenders, we had a Defenders teaser. Really nothing more than just unveiling that Defenders are coming. It's going to happen sometime next year.
It was like truly a teaser because it was like nothing.
Yeah.
It was just. So this is what it struck me. I feel like they're getting a little bit formulaic with their teasers or their trailers or stuff like that. I'm loving the series.
Yeah.
But like, okay, we're gonna put some old song in the background, and that's maybe not even related to what's going on. I don't even remember what the song was for that one. But as I'm listening to it, I'm just like, this feels like a lot of their other things. It's just another kind of older song in the background. I don't know.
I don't remember enough of the old trailers to substantiate or argue with you.
Yeah. Anyway, it just feels formulaic to me for some reason.
And then we had a brief teaser for Daredevil.
Once again, you can't call something a teaser just because it's about the thing.
Sure you can. That's what a tease is.
No, a tease like actually gives you something like, ooh, I want to see. Ooh, I want to like. This was that, and the Defenders was like nothing. It was like it was a sign and it was flickering and you heard fighting in the background. That's nothing. That could anything in the world could be going on there. It doesn't pique my interest at all.
Well,
it's just like the revealing of the Defenders logo and things peeling away did not pique my interest at all.
Yeah, but there was dialogue with that one. Remember, Stick was like,
at the very end,
the four of you think you can save New York, can't even save yourselves.
Yeah.
It's like, what's he talking about?
Yeah.
What's he talking about, Chad? We got to know.
Yeah, okay.
So,
you're much more excitable than I am.
That's right. So to run down the list of all the Netflix Marvel shows that are happening, we have Luke Cage coming, we have Iron Fist coming, we have Defenders, we have Daredevil Season 3, we have Jessica Jones Season 2, and we have The Punisher. So we've got 6.
Did they confirm Punisher's getting its own show?
Yes, they confirmed that a few months ago. But they haven't said anything about when it's filming.
I was actually going to sarcastically say Punisher, this TV show, because I didn't know that was actually going to happen.
Yeah, he's getting one. So they haven't announced when any of these are happening. I'm assuming that it looks like it, based on this, Daredevil will get his 3rd season before Jessica Jones gets a 2nd and before the Punisher gets his series. Because they've got a teaser up for it and they don't have anything out for the other guys. So we shall see. Over on ABC Marvel TV Land, there was confirmation that Ghost Rider is coming to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is really interesting because it doesn't seem like it fits in that universe at all.
Yeah, that's... As long as it's Nick Cage, I'll be fine.
Good.
No, it's not Nick Cage, I know that.
Well, not only is it not Nick Cage, it's also not that Ghost Rider.
Okay.
So there is a new Ghost Rider that's been running around for a little while in this new Marvel stuff, and he drives a car that is on fire. Instead of a motorcycle. So
whatever.
But so that's
that was like the cool thing about Ghost Rider was that he was on a motorcycle.
Well, now
and then the old one was on a freaking badass horse.
Well,
like, hey, check out my car. I don't know. It seems lame.
It's constant upgrading. So
whatever.
But anyway, so that is the version, because I don't remember what the original Ghost Rider's name was, but this one is different.
Gotcha.
So it's a different character altogether, but it's still underneath the moniker of Ghost Rider.
I think they still need to have Nick Cage hand over the reins. Clearly, they need him on a guest spot. Yeah. Then he gets in a car. He's like, "No, don't get in the car, man. You're ruining it." Okay.
Anyway, so that's it for TV land. Let's hop over to the movie lands, and we're gonna start with the DC stuff. So one of the first things they showed was the Suicide Squad, the final trailer for that, including music from the soundtrack that they've been releasing little by little. We got to see a few new things in that trailer. Some more evidence that Enchantress may be the villain in the movie. But
at this point, I'm like that. She's a bad guy in the movie.
She's it.
Like I have not seen anything that makes me think she's part of the squad.
Oh no, because like to your point, they've never shown her with the squad before.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, I mean, nothing substantial other than just, hey, Comic-Con's going on and this movie comes out in 2 weeks. Let's remind them.
Yeah. I'm still totally excited about that movie.
Yeah,
but it's like
it doesn't decrease the excitement, but it did. It didn't raise it any.
There was one thing. Initially, I was excited about Killer Croc.
Mm-hmm.
I still think he could be good.
Yeah,
but I've now increasingly thought, as I've seen him in more and more scenes, he's making the same face. And then maybe it's a limitation of the prosthetics he's wearing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I just don't. I'm like, how is this guy going to deliver much of a performance inside that mask if all he can do is the same kind of just one little sneer that I've seen him do in the background of every single scene?
I have not noticed it that much. At the same time, I would not expect him to be one of the main people on the squad.
Right.
But
I'm less excited about his character than I initially was, because I initially thought, "Ooh, that looks cool."
Yeah.
And now as I've been watching, I'm like, man, is it going to be like the old Batman where he couldn't turn his neck, so everything he's doing this for, you know? Anyway.
Yep. But so who knows? Then we got the very first trailer for Wonder Woman, which we are less than a year out. So it was cool to see kind of visually what that movie's going to look like, because we've got a different director. Patty Jenkins is the director for this one. She did the movie Monster with Charlize Theron. I don't know if you've ever seen that. I haven't seen it, but I know it got a lot of accolades.
Right. Yeah.
But it was cool to see her and to see a little bit of interplay between her and Steve Trevor, which Chris Pine is playing. Seems like there's going to be possibly some more humor in this one, which people have been asking for in the DC films.
Right. It seems fine. The lasso looks weird to me. Like, I know that she has the lasso, but everything else looks so like kind of gritty and realistic, and then that freaking lasso glowing all up in your face. Well, I get it. I
think that's the point.
but if you're going to stick to the source material, there's a lot more flashiness to her costume and this, that, and the other. It's like the only thing, like if you're going to say, oh, but the source material, then I feel like, well, then why aren't you sticking to the source material with everything? Why isn't everything looking like the Wonder Woman we see in the comic books, if you're going to say that for the lasso?
Well, honestly, she does look a lot like the comic books, but depending upon
more
what
muted,
you're talking about.
The colors are more muted.
Not really. Like, I'll have to show you. I'm talking about some more of the recent stuff, but honestly, it lines up pretty close to the way she looks now. And again, I never like the source material argument when you're talking about a character, because a character has 75 years worth of history. The source material contradicts itself.
Well, yeah, it's changed over time, and they've known this movie is coming out, so they're going to start making the comic look like what they're going to have the movie look like. Right. At least I think if they're smart, they're going to do that. Regardless, it just feels out of place with everything else that's in there. The lasso felt out of place in the trailer. It was shocking to my eyes. It always stood out in a bad way to me.
Yeah. Well, you're wrong. So.
I'm Wes. I'm fine with you being wrong. So we'll just leave it at that.
Oh, God. So we had that. I'm increasingly more and more excited about Wonder Woman the closer we get. Everything that I see about the movie makes me more excited about it. So.
Yeah, nothing's rubbed me the wrong way really about it.
Yeah. And I thought the little bit we got to see her in Batman v Superman, I was very, very happy with how she was as both Diana Prince and Wonder Woman. So we'll see. Then we had some footage for Justice League, which I did not expect to see, because we're still a little ways out from that movie. I think it's November of next year.
Right.
So some people are calling it a teaser. Some people are just saying it's just footage. But
it's not. It can't just be footage. It's edited together to be at least a trailer or a teaser of some sort. Like,
right, but
whatever.
Semantics.
No, if it was footage, you wouldn't hear the dialogue from this scene over the footage from this scene. If it was just footage, it would just be this scene right here.
But does footage edited together automatically make it a trailer?
Yeah. They've put it together to get out there to either be a trailer or to be a teaser to promote their movie that's coming out. Footage would just be like hey, here's a little clip from this one scene. Well, and it's edited together to be that scene. Scene. It's from the movie, cut exactly like it is from
whatever.
There.
We're wasting time arguing about what's footage and what's a teaser.
This is what the people tune in for. Is to hear our inane arguments about stupid shit that doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, you go first, because I know you have negative thoughts.
And I know you don't have any negative thoughts because it's DC. Drink up. All right. Pure vodka in that, folks. So first of all, I'm not the biggest Ben Affleck fan.
Yep.
In general.
I know.
And I'm still not sold on him, but I think he's a fine Bruce Wayne. And so really, most of what we saw of him in this, just like most of what we saw of him in Batman v Superman, was him as Bruce Wayne.
I disagree. I think most of what we saw in Batman v Superman was him as Batman. Okay. Sometimes he was Batman in the costume, but then other times he was Batman out of the costume.
I know. We've had this discussion before.
I won't have it again because I'll talk to you about it wrong.
Okay, that's fine. Regardless, that's nothing to me. I feel like they were really trying hard to make it like, no, Aquaman's totally super cool. And I get it. They've cast him and dressed him up and made him freaking Carl Drago or whatever that guy's name was.
Carl Drago.
However you pronounce his name. Carl Dargo. Carl. Anyway, so like they're like, oh no, dude, check out how badass he is. He's the waves are splashing up around him and stuff like that. It's like, nah, dude, this is freaking Aquaman. Put on your freaking green tights and orange shirt and go talk to dolphins. And they made that little joke at the end of like, I heard you talk to fish, which was funny.
Yeah.
But like, it'll be interesting because I feel like they really want him to be this like badass character, and that's just not how I've ever thought of Aquaman. So anyway, to move beyond that, who's the other? The Flash. Seems cool. Like, yeah. I think he seems like a good actor, fun character. Like that part, I was totally down with. A little confused as to the lightning happening when he's just dodging out of the way. I always felt like when I saw lightning with the Flash is like when he's like full up going at speed, running and stuff, not just a quick dodge.
Right.
But it's like, oh, I'm gonna move 2 inches and like lightning everywhere. Like, damn, this guy's dangerous. Like, causing outages across the whole eastern seaboard. But no, so he seemed cool. Cyborg, like, man, I don't know if it's just because it's early on or what. When I saw Cyborg and like either the costume that they have him in, or if it's CG composited, the way it just didn't look good to me.
I would guess it's probably both practical and digital.
And maybe it's because it's early in the process and they've still got more to like refine and stuff like that.
Right.
Maybe. I hope it looks better in the actual movie, but the clips I saw, I did not like the way it looked. I felt like it didn't mesh well.
I'll have to go back and look at it because I don't have an opinion one way or another because I don't recall not liking it, right. But I don't remember a whole lot of it.
And then my final complaint, and I'm still excited for the movie. I'm hopeful that it's going to be fun, but I feel like how much time has gone on here, and that Batman, who was this was a very serious gruff. Oh, actually, 2 complaints. A very serious gruff portrayal of Batman and Bruce Wayne,
mm-hmm.
And a very serious, no-nonsense portrayal of Wonder Woman are jokey, chummy about stuff now. Like, he's like, mostly yes or no, yes or yes or no. Oh, no, he's not going to join us. And it's just the little jokey, chummy stuff, like I said, just felt a little weird between them, unless it's like, okay, how much time have we actually built up here, the last interactions I saw them, and it just didn't seem like the relationship they had. Granted, it could have grown, and it might make sense in the movie, but it just seemed a little weird to me. Final complaint, okay. I'll let you respond to all this stuff with your stuff, was when... shoot, now I just lost it. It was the thing I came up with. I'll interrupt you at some point.
Well, the Bruce Wayne, Diana back and forth, I thought makes perfect sense based on their back and forth in Batman v Superman. If you think about like the party scene, she had like these little quips back and forth with him, where she's like, I don't think you've ever known a woman like me. So they already have this. They've started to build this rapport already. Now, granted, they've been around for a little bit longer. We don't know how much, but presumably a few weeks, a few months. But, so that part I liked, and, I like to see this evolution between them because there's always been this, in the comics a lot, there has been this kind of hint of romance between Batman and Diana. that they've never really fleshed out, but like this flirtation between the two at times, or this.
Gotta have a love story.
Well, but that's the thing. They're not a love story because they never even really get close at all to being together or even really talk about it. It's just this very...
they're totally doing it in this movie.
Very underlying...
Let's go lay that bat dong down like he did in Killing Joke.
I was going to say, he's going to put on this Batgirl mask like that one guy.
Ever since she's been paralyzed, I lost interest. I need you to wear this.
So I like that. You know me. I did not have a problem.
Any problems ever with it?
I did not have.
Oh, my other problem.
All right, you go.
We talked a lot about what Batman is this in Batman v Superman. How old is he? How long has he been doing this?
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like it was in the storyline that they seem to be taking this from, a much older Batman,
20 years
towards the end of his career and stuff like that. Now, of course, he can't be if he's just forming the Justice League. I feel like the feel I get from this Batman in Justice League, as opposed to the feel I got from the Batman from Batman v Superman, is a younger Batman. I feel like they've rewinded him a little bit and to make him seem younger, and hey, I'm putting together this team and stuff like that. Just the feeling I got from him, I was like, I would assume this Bruce Wayne is younger than the Bruce Wayne I saw in Batman v Superman, but it can't be, obviously. This is after that.
Well, think about this. So, yes, in Batman v Superman, he's very far on his career, 20 years, he says. By that point, he's very war-torn. He's seen friends die. He's seen things happen that he feels is almost futile in his, war on crime. And he talks about that a little bit in Batman v Superman, where he has distrust. Then you fast forward to the end of Batman v Superman, and he talks about how he feels like he has, let down Superman, and that really Superman was there to help them and was going to be this beacon.
Because of Martha.
But because of, all these things that have happened, that Batman was a roadblock to him being able to be that. And so he has this, this change of heart of, if I'm going to live up to Superman's legacy, and if I'm going to do right by him and make it up to him in his death, then I've got to do something. And so it's almost like he's found his second wind in his career as Batman. So yes, he may seem younger, but I think it's because he has a new motivation to power him. It's not so much about his parents anymore. Now he knows there's a bigger threat coming. He has other people that he can lean on, and so now he's willing to love again.
He's totally going to kick the shit out of someone with a mom named Martha now. It's not about Martha anymore.
I don't care anymore.
Martha!
We're not talking about the movie. We're talking about this movie. The Aquaman thing I love because with, like you said, Aquaman to most people is this goofy, like when you look at the Super Friends cartoon, this goofy guy riding a seahorse. He looks stupid. And so I love the fact that like they're playing it up, and even Batman's making jokes like, hey, I hear you can talk to fish. And really he's this badass, which we've seen a badass Aquaman in the comics before, so it's not off base.
I know that the New 52 reboot of him was kind of more badass.
Yeah, there was a really kind of like badass version. The closest to this back in like the early 2000s, he had like long hair, had these silver scales on him, had a
clan full of guys riding horses behind him. He married this young childlike bride that was blonde. She had dragons. Is this what?
I was gonna say I don't know what you're talking about. He had like a hook spear thing for a hand. So they've had a version like that in him before. The New 52 and what they've kind of doing right now, he's back to a little bit more colorful costume, and he's got the short hair and everything, but they still make him up to be a badass. And they get into a little bit more explaining, like, think about how his powers would have to work for him to be able to like live in the depths of the ocean and that kind of stuff. So for people to understand his power. So I like the fact that they are trying to make him serious, but then at the same time they're going to lean into these jokes as well and like give him a hard time and be like, hey, fish guy's over here. Because that'll be funny if he's like...
You like fish sticks?
You like fish sticks? Aquaman loves fish sticks. Barry Allen, I wasn't really sure about the guy that cast as him whenever he was originally cast. So I was not really sure, but now that I've seen him do a little bit of acting, I'm on board. I thought that was a really cool scene with him and Bruce Wayne. So we'll see what happens, but I'm excited.
I'm excited for the movie too. Like, I can like things and still have problems with them. Yeah. But like,
Well, case point, I did have a couple of issues with Batman v Superman. I did not think it was a
It
perfect
was not
movie.
long enough.
But now it is because of the Ultimate Edition, which you need to watch. But I had my problems, but I still really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So
I still liked it.
yeah,
And I've saw it more than once in theaters. So anyway, we'll move on.
yeah,
Because we need to get going through this.
yeah. Moving over to Doctor Strangeland, we had the Doctor Strange trailer, the second one.
It was awesome.
It was great. We finally got to see him use some magic, and it's this very trippy movie.
It reassured me that I don't feel like it's going to be too much of an origin story. It's going to have the origin in there, but it looks now. This trailer made it seem like, oh no, we're going to get a lot of Doctor Strange as Doctor Strange.
It is, and it's a very unique take on like a Marvel character. The director was talking about this is the introduction of the multiverse into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So you had that. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 they talked about a little bit. We found out that Kurt Russell is playing Peter Quill / Star-Lord's father as Ego, the Living Planet.
We need more information on that for me to have any opinions, because I don't know much about Ego in the first place, but it makes no sense in my brain. And Yondu's coming back, but as a Guardian of the Galaxy. You told me this, and I was like, huh, that's interesting. He had a bigger mohawk when he was that, and it was way far in the future. And like, he has a mohawk now, so we had to look up the picture.
There was a concept art that they published online, and it also had a picture of Nebula with them as well. So it's interesting to see if maybe they're expanding this Guardians team. And
interesting. What, Nebula killed and...
Presumably.
Yeah.
Huh. You didn't actually
not.
see her die, and she's like mostly cybernetic.
And
so
she rebuilds herself, so...
And she hates Thanos, so if they're doing something with him, maybe that's why. Spider-Man Homecoming confirmed that, yes, the Vulture will be the villain in the movie. Presumably played by Michael Keaton. I don't know if they confirmed that that's, in fact, who he was playing.
That's awesome. After his performance in
Birdman.
I'm like... Awesome.
All right, Birdman, you get to do it again.
That's so cool if that's him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They've lined up a bunch of other characters for Spider-Man, Flash Thompson, Liz Allen, so some of these supporting characters. And they did confirm that as far as like setting a time frame, he's in the 10th grade with this. So he's the youngest Spider-Man we've got to see yet. So he is like firmly in high school.
That's how I like my Spider-Man. Young.
Oh, God. But he's not going to be graduating right away like all the other Spider-Man. He's going to have to.
We're going to get at least one more movie with him in high school. All right, let's get right on to Thor Ragnarok. Big news on this, because we didn't know that Hulk was going to be in this until now, right?
No, we did. They had confirmed a while back that Hulk was going to be in this movie. Few months.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just hadn't talked about it. Because I know initially there was no, like, we didn't know when we were going to see Hulk again.
Yeah. We knew that he was going to show up in Thor Ragnarok. The new confirmation we got is, one, the Hulk battle armor from World War Hulk.
Right.
So, assuming he's going to be in some kind of, like, battle pits type thing.
Well, it seems, what I heard everybody, like, chattering about was, like, Planet Hulk.
Right.
Something like
that's
that.
That's what it is. Planet Hulk. Sorry, not World War Hulk.
That's okay. So, that seems cool to me. Like,
yeah. And apparently this movie is going to answer the question of where was Thor and Hulk during Civil War, which they teased a little bit.
Off planet.
No, apparently they were both on Earth while it was happening.
What?
Yeah, so they're going to explain.
I don't give a fuck.
But
you guys do your thing.
They're so far over there.
Gosh.
But yeah, so
did you see how big Ant-Man got? I ain't messing with him.
He's so big. But it was cool to get some more details. And we got the new Atari-looking logo for the movie, which is kind of weird
to me.
Captain Marvel is now officially cast. Brie Larson is playing Captain Marvel. So I've seen her in Room and maybe a couple other things. But she's good. I mean, it's cool to see somebody who is like a serious actress right now who's getting a lot of attention, still willing to be a part of these quote unquote silly films and things like that, and that they're being very serious.
I think that we're past comic book movies being snubbed.
You and I know that, but after reading some of the reviews for some of the movies that have come out in the last year or two, there are still some, especially film critics out there, who are still like,
I'm talking about from actors, because there's plenty of like bigger names that are getting interested in this stuff and seeing the success. Who cares about freaking what we do? Talking about things that other people did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems cool. I don't know much about her. I saw her in Room, and I wouldn't see her in that and be like, oh, she'd make a great Captain Marvel.
No.
But she seems like a good actress.
Right.
I have faith in Marvel to do a good job with this.
Yeah. I don't
Not her, but
really
Marvel.
cast anybody yet that's been like, oh, why'd they cast that person? And then Black Panther, there was some more confirmation about roles for that. We know that Michael B. Jordan is going to be the villain in the movie as, what was his name? Eric Killmonger, I think.
Yeah, Killmonger is the last name.
Killmonger.
For sure. I think Eric, yeah.
In a brief synopsis about the movie, apparently there are two entities that kind of come together and cause a problem in Wakanda. And so Black Panther has to enlist the help of both the CIA and this special Wakandan special forces thing to help defeat them. That's like from one of the actors of the movie.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm not as excited about that movie as I am other ones. I like his portrayal in Civil War, but
yeah, I think he did a great
as
job
a
there.
Single character, I'm just not invested in him because I don't know a whole lot about his character. So hopefully the movie will sell me, but we'll see.
Yeah. Cool.
But oh man, that's a lot of news.
Dear goodness.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for sticking around. We're trying to make it up to you by doing super long videos because we haven't recorded in a while.
Let's make up for missing stuff by making you sit through us talk forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry that we've been off air for a little while. We will probably be doing 2 more episodes in the next couple weeks because there's some movies coming out we want to go see.
Yep.
So join us for that. And unless you have anything else, we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This has been Chad and Wes Ruin a Movie. Don't forget you can email us at chadandwes@gmail.com or visit our website at chadandwes.com. Follow us on SoundCloud and subscribe on iTunes if you like. You can also leave us a review. See you next time.
Mm-hmm.